the answer box or question box that way. So I am afraid to be either in answer box or question box, right? So, yeah, to be very open and honest, last night we tried to do this discussion among three of us. I miserably failed. I miserably failed because I was very artificial in answering the questions. Then I concluded that session saying, boss, this is very artificial. I am not myself. So I wanted to do it little more elaborately with more participants so that I want to be natural. Then this thought came, how do I envisage deep thought? How do I actually look? I mean, what is that my vision? Knowing deep thought for the last 3 years, uh, how do I envisage? This brings to me last night. I slept with this thought. Before I woke up, I had this thing. I was in a classroom, a very fantastic classroom. I mean, this is real, it's not story, right? In a fantastic classroom where there were two lecturers or two professors discussing a topic, a single topic. Two professors were discussing, and we were about 53 of us in that classroom, all professionals from different backgrounds. And they were dealing that topic with different perspectives and never similar. They call it that kind of classrooms, they have some name which I didn't recall, and I don't recall now also. There were some enormous data. There was rational deductions happening in that, logical conclusions happening. And everybody in the classroom were very much involved, either taking sides one time and taking the other side the other time. It's not that you take one side this time, first half of the session, and take the other side. It's not like you are divided kind of thing, but everybody was involving in both the professors' discussions very animatedly, very engagedly. So I was calling that kind of a classroom. Then, for want of a better term, I was calling it as a jugalbandi. You understand, right? Jugalbandi as in music, right? Tak, 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 tak. And both the professors made sense. This was the classroom I had in IIM, Calcutta. So we all enjoyed that classroom fantastically. There were case studies, they were in the same classroom within that 45 minutes, no, it was 1.5 hour class session. In that 1.5 hour session, not one of us felt that it is kind of boring or anything. At the end of the day, what did we learn? We were intellectually at a very high kind of thing. And the notes we took, then if we actually compare, we were not able to articulate what happened. Now I zoomed out of that and came into the deep thought testing. Now you are all deep thought makers, right? You are the makers of deep thought now in the beginning, right? Imagine a classroom where lot of such threads are woven together to form patterns which are meaningful, which are productive, which are engaging to meet a common objective. Imagine that cloth, how it will become. And each the thread of each fabric of that cloth is woven by each individual in the classroom. It can be a teacher, it can be the learner. Now the difference between the teacher and the learner is reduced to, or has come into a more engaging format called as facilitator, right? They know how to facilitate the woven thing. I mean, the weavers having that weaving to be done kind of thing. So this thread has to go, this thread has to go this way kind of thing. So when the entire cloth is woven, and if the cloth that comes out of this classroom, which you call it as eagle view, right? Right. That is beautiful thing. Those are the classrooms I envisage for learning, teaching and learning processes in future, which is possible. You guys are making it possible now. You are actually breaking your heads. You are innovating to make that possible. And how difficult is it? How easy it is only the perspective difference. It is only with what background you come with what open mind you come with what intention you come. That's the only difference between making it possible or not possible. Why do I say that? So if you are very open without any inhibitions, very having that humility to learn and contribute with that open mind, with a childlike curiosity. Childlike curiosity is not there in adults. Normally, we don't have. We are conditioned not to have that curiosity, right? I mean, if you are that child, I'm sure you will definitely stop me now and ask, boss, what are you ranting about? You will ask for every sentence one why and how. Yes or no? So with that childlike curiosity in the classroom and the threads are being woven, right? You as interns are, I believe, after the rigorous process of getting into the system, you are having that childlike curiosity, but sometimes you exhibit that conditioning also. But to have that, it is all for you to, it is you to decide to have that. When you have that, you are eligible to build this product. And your contribution, no matter how minuscule it is, no matter how bad your day was or is or will be, but that thread you have introduced into that cloth is more important because it adds to the entire pattern in the end. And that pattern is an ever evolving one. You're understanding? It's like the galaxy which ever evolves. But then are we sticking to some frameworks? Both yes and no. Yes, because we have a common objective. No, because if we stick to some pattern, then our creativity is killed. We don't actually go to the next thread. We don't innovate the new thread. So that is the reason why you are in a very dynamic environment. That's the reason why we are building deliberately that kind of culture where it is dynamic. There are ups and downs. There are the system is encouraged to be innovative every moment, every second. So no matter how small your movement is in that fabric, you add that color, you add that pattern, either by being innovative or by your sheer presence in a session like this. It's that butterfly effect. People, you know what that butterfly effect, right? Does anybody know what a butterfly effect is? There is a theory hypothesis.
Yes, yes. That one butterfly flapping its wings somewhere in Amazon will create a storm somewhere in India.
It has the potential, but nobody has proved it till now. But that grand weaving is possible. That's what we are saying. We are all together proving that into some framework. That's the premise. That's the talk I am having. That's the impact you guys will have in the future learning, teaching environment. It's not only leaning, touching thing. This actually affects the behaviors. So in future, all of us or all the children of the future will definitely be competing or working collaboratively with machines, with advanced machines, advanced algorithms. In that scenario, how adaptable are the children? How creative are they? How critical are they? That matters more, right? So how do we teach all these things to the children? To put them in that environment. How do we create that environment? With interns like you. How do we capture that? We capture that into the first principles of everything and put that as threads into the system. That is what you are figuring out. So your work, no matter how minuscule or how big it is, it adds that value, that pattern to the entire woven cloth or woven thing into the next future generations. That's my premise. I'll take questions. I took an analogy for better understanding. Does it make sense? Or did I be more of a wishful thinking?
I wasn't able to understand.
Yeah, Satya? Is it Aryan? Did it make sense? Ask questions. You can ask questions now. You can be yourself.
I didn't understand that butterfly effect.
Which part did you not understand, Aryan?
The butterfly effect one.
Okay. Now there is an hypothesis, Aryan, which says that when butterflies flip their wings, no? If they're flipping their wings in Amazon desert, so then naturally the wind there moves, right? So the wind, when it moves, it has some effect on the current, the wind currents there. If that wind current ripple that propagates, that small thing, if it propagates, it will have a chain reaction kind of thing, and it has the capability of creating a storm in some other place. That's the premise, Aryan. And if you actually see the chain of events leading to an effect, that's a butterfly effect in a crude sense. Did you get, Aryan? So I will take the example of why you are here today. Or I say, how are you here today? Aryan, this question is for you. How were you? How did you come here to this session?
Like, are you asking how or why?
Why? No, how only. I'll ask how.
I came to this session by reading that message of Tarun sir, thinking that
At what time? At what time the message was posted? At what time did you see the message?
it was posted at 9:30.
AM or PM?
9:33 a.m.
Uh-huh.
today, and I read it at 9:38 a.m. today.
Why was it possible to you see that message at that point of time? It was, there are all possibilities that you would have missed it also, right?
It's because I was checking my WhatsApp. So
What made you check that WhatsApp? Were you expecting something?
yes,
What were you expecting? What made you expect that thing?
because I was doing on one social learning thing, so the other person hadn't gave the response.
What
so
was the reason for that social learning thing?
it
So now
was
if you go asking these questions, why, how, when, and all, it will actually start the day you actually knew DT. How did you come to know the deep thought? I mean, if I go asking questions like that, we will go to that genesis of that point where you joined Socratic dialogue or DT. Yes or no?
I don't think so.
Then where will we go?
Like, how will you go to the point?
Okay, then I'll actually ask, if you don't know Socratic dialogue, if you don't know deep thought, will you be able to see that message at 9:30 in the morning?
Yes.
How?
Like, if I'm not in that WhatsApp group, then no. But otherwise, yes, because
So you are in that WhatsApp group because you were associated with deep thought. Yes or no?
yes.
So your association with deep thought is the cause for that message to be there. Right? So now if I ask what is the association, I am taking a shortcut in asking you this question. Right? But there are a lot of other elements which actually say lot of people are in deep thought. Why are all they not here? Probably they did not see it at 9:30, or probably they are not interested in deep thought. Probably something else happened. It might be raining there. It might be because being Saturday, they may not have school or college or whatever it is. They wanted to sleep little more time. They're all probabilities, right? So I am saying those are all the patterns. So that's you asked for butterfly effect. I was trying to explain you about the butterfly effect.
How can you say a probability as a pattern?
Yeah, but if so, what is a pattern then?
According to my understanding, it's kind of the same thing happening, or the same process happening.
Exactly right. Same thing happening repeatedly, more than once or twice, more than twice, right? Right? Agree on that point? That definition we agree? Every Saturday, if you are sleeping, is it a pattern or not?
Yes.
The probability of seeing the message at 9:30 posted on a Saturday is less. True or false?
I didn't understand that.
If you are sleeping on Saturday, little more. Every Saturday is a holiday, for example.
Aryan, can you listen to the arguments a little more carefully? I think if you listen, you'll get it.
He is actually getting.
No, I mean, Aryan, Yugandhar sir has two arguments. Every Saturday, you're sleeping till 10 o'clock. Or the chance of you sleeping is very high on a Saturday. Chance of you sleeping till 10 o'clock is very high on a Saturday. So does this sentence have any effect on the probability of you seeing the message at 9:30 a.m. on a Saturday? That's his point, right?
So those are little patterns, right? They affect the probability. That's what I mean to say. Probability is forming patterns also. But good question. Huh? This is childlike curiosity. So do we all have that? So any questions?
Yeah. So when you said we should, when following a framework, it is necessary and not at the same time, because it kills the curiosity. So my question here is, if we like, at what point shall we break that framework and get out of it? Like, how do we identify that point?
If you are wandering in a desert, it is good to have general directional notions in your orientation in place. Agree till that point? So that is the framework what I am talking. But if you are actually very rigid in saying, no, I need to take this path alone, then that's where you need to be little different, saying it has to be fluid in that sense. So that will stop you from exploring the rest of the desert.
My motive is to explore the desert. Like, objective here is to explore the desert.
As in DT, yes, in DT, your motive or your objective is to explore the entire desert and build those threads. And you are building those threads for the people who are coming after you to experience that, not follow it, experience that. There's a difference between following and experiencing. If you are asking them to follow you, then again you are killing curiosity.
Teaching by experience. Okay.
Because the freedom you have, they should also have, right? So that then only the innovation happens. That is why we encourage at DT to have that innovation thing, no matter how good or bad. how acceptable or not acceptable, how we are not even worried about that. We want the churning to happen.
Understood your point.
Can I go in?
Yeah, Sai.
So when you told about the qualities that people should have, like which qualities would suit DT, open-mindedness, intention, and background. What do you mean by background?
I think I used the word humility, childlike curiosity,
No, you also mentioned open-mindedness, intention, and background.
open-mindedness, and the background. Did I say that?
No, sir.
Background.
I've been thread building, so I have it in verbatim. So yeah, you mentioned that all these things. I mean, whether you'll be able to do it or not able to do it. In that context, you said it also comes from the background you come from.
Exactly. Super. I mean, this is fantastic thread. I would want to go that rabbit hole like once again. Say, for example, if I am working directly as an intern after say 15 years of experience in the corporate sector, and then I'm working with you all, right? So when I have that experience, when I say I have experience in the corporate world, I have my own experiences. I come with my firm belief systems, firm, right? So if you do this, this will happen. If you do this, this is. That is because I experienced that. You understand? So when I come into the system, I will definitely influence Sai to say, Sai, you are actually exploring something different. You should not do that. If you go there, you will fall. The moment I say, Sai, you will go there, you will fall, I'm discouraging Sai from experiencing that innovation part of it, that thread of the thing, which means I come from some belief systems or some notions or some knowledge about that system working, and I am not able to learn what you are doing. You're understanding the background, what I mean, Sai. So the baggage you come with. So most of you from colleges, you come with those baggages. So it's a very conservative baggages. Say, to take a crude example, if you are passing your college exams by reading only test papers. So for you, the thing is, success only comes by getting marks and cracking interviews. That's the line of thought you will be having. All that you did is to get that marks. All that marks you are getting to get into that job for that high paid salary and all. So that line of thought, if you are having and you are still and wanting to work in deep thought, it may not work out for you. The only reason being, for once you get into deep thought, they say marks here, leave it in the back and come. We don't worry about marks. We are worried about what you are doing as an innovation, right? You're understanding, Sai, what the background means to me?
Yeah. Got it.
Okay.
Yugandhar sir, I mean, just I want to reiterate that I think what Yugandhar sir means by background is all that experiences and whatever you went through so far, and the belief system and the strength in that belief system, which you or rigidity in the belief system you bring in because of those experiences.
Exactly. It is because of that experiences.
Could be due to family, college, friends, could be anything.
It can be work environments. Sometimes it can be childhood also.
So it's not always bad to have baggage, right? If we even have baggage, if we mix it with open-mindedness, I mean background.
Yes, there is nothing called as good or bad in having a baggage or not having a baggage. Realization is more important.
Yeah. So okay.
So once you
When
realize that, okay, I'm not able to understand what Aryan is talking or what Satya is talking, then I'm not able to understand. And if I realize that is more important. Then I try to understand that, right? Then I learn. That is where humility comes. All of us have that baggage. Even I have. You see, the realization that I was artificial last evening was not my baggage. I can always say, boss, no, what I did was right. That's a choice, right? But the mechanisms of one's realization are very important. Given the context and all that things in place.
What exactly you mean by mechanism of realization?
It's a mindset to use a word like that, but the mechanism, there is this reflections you follow. So now I go through all the deep thought reflections. Most of them I go through. When you actually put, I'm there in most of the groups, I go through them. Some of them appear to me mechanical. Just because somebody has asked you and somebody is looking to it and somebody is asking and following up that thing, then even to the point saying that I am celebrating, that word is there, no, I celebrate. Even that celebration itself is not a celebration. And the smiles on your face actually reflects that, right? So that is mechanical. Komal, did you understand what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Now,
I
when
got
you
it.
actually get that, that recognizing that, if you get that art of recognizing it or the realization of looking into it, then you'll say, why am I doing this? I can actually very well enjoy it, right? So then that is realization. That is the mechanism of realization.
Let's involve in it, is what you're
Yeah,
saying.
that's what I'm saying. When you involve, you will know it. When you know it, you will realize it. When you involve, you will recognize it. When you recognize it, you will realize it. I mean, there's a little thing there.
Mechanism of realization will come irrespective whether you were engaged in it previously mechanically or not, right?
I am not sure about that thing, but I have one classical example. I mean, all of you know little history about Buddha and the tree and that enlightenment and all that. Why did it take only that moment? And all of you, I believe in everybody's career, there is that Buddha kind of eureka moments in everybody's journeys. And that comes at that point of second only. And most of them will not have also. Today, the way the education system goes, that eureka moments are not there. What you're trying to do in deep thought is you are actually churning out everything to create those eureka moments. You're understanding?
Yes, yes.
So why are we all calm? I thought you will ask me a lot of questions. So Tarun, did you get the question?
Yeah.
So can we call it a day? Or these are all like, say, mesmerized or hypnotic kind of thing. They're not talking.
No, I think people are a little sleepy. So people
May-
can
Komal
mute.
wanted to ask one more question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So right now you said purpose of deep thought is to create the environment where we could nurture or bring out this eureka movement.
Exactly.
So we need to create the environment. Okay, so could you guide us a bit, as this is the desert, right? And could you enlighten us with your experience and instead of showing us a route over here about this environment? Like, how do you build this? Like, I know how, but a bit more. I'm not able to articulate the question
Believe
correctly.
me, 3 years back also, I didn't know how. Today also, I don't know how. But I know the path. Why am I so much attached to deep thought? Is because I for sure know there is something wonderful emerging out of all these engagements. Right. For example, your thread builder did not just come just out of the blue. Right. Thread builder was earlier called as what?
I am not aware of what it was called earlier.
Can anybody tell? Purva, you may have to tell me. What was thread builder earlier called? You silly, it was little conversation in the classroom. Yes or no?
Yes.
But that meaningful conversation, we actually wanted to make sense of it in a different format. So these conversations happen in regular classrooms, yes or no?
Yes.
But how many of those conversations are actually productive to make somebody learn new things?
Most of it.
No, in your regular classrooms, you learn that something called as collaborative learning in your classrooms. The Jugalbandi I was talking about.
Yes.
So in that, there is only one theme that goes. But here, what you're doing with this thread builder is you're actually giving a lot of themes into the entire classroom. Different perspectives.
Right.
And you are also evidencing that it is possible that people can engage with different threads. And you are codifying that. Komal, you're getting that. You're codifying that. That's how you build it.
Thread builder is one of the tool to create that environment.
That can go ever. So to bring that into place, you're having that eagle's view.
Bring that in a place where adding the eagle view. I mean, I didn't.
There are boundaries set for that thread.
Mm-hmm.
That's the eagle view, right? So for you to build a product like that, all you need to have is whatever conversations you're having, whatever thoughts you're having, and how you're learning. If you can actually articulate your process of that thought, then it will be actually useful for the product. I'll tell you one classical example I posted in some other group the other day. I don't know, some MBA session, junior MBA. I don't know what's that organization, Tarun, some junior MBA. So they were advertising to get that eyeballs and all. They were advertising saying, why do McDonald's or somebody use molded burgers as the thing? You come and learn the tricks of doing it or techniques of doing it in the junior MBA classroom. If actually management class deep thought is doing, if management thought management that classroom, if deep thought is actually replicating, how will deep thought do it? Deep thought will never say we will teach you the techniques of doing something. Deep thought will actually make you experience the process of doing those techniques. There's a difference, right?
How exactly? Could you elaborate a bit?
Okay.
The
Now, did you
experience.
come across this ad of that junior MBA thing?
Yeah.
You came across that ad?
Yeah.
That molded burger. Do you know why they use that molded burger in the advertisement? Okay, I'll tell you why they use that molded burger. They are actually emphasizing that we don't have artificial flavors, chemicals in the burger. We are more organic so that the molds also grow on that. That's the thing they want to tell their customers. So now to get those eyeballs or to get that discussion going, to pass that message, that is the metaphor they have used in their advertisement. And the organization which is giving that course as a junior MBA is using this scenario to tell their prospective students, junior students, that's a grade, fourth grade, fifth grade students, to tell them that we will teach you the techniques of how to do this advertisement or how to pass your message. The techniques they are teaching. But beyond that, if you know only the techniques, don't you want to know the process of getting those techniques?
The
That's
message
what
in the
deep thought is.
process.
That's the deep thought is what I'm talking. You know the difference between the levels of how it is going on. So the world requires such people, especially India. We do not want to become a country of assembling parts from different countries. We want a country to be designers. I'll take you a crude example. Say all the electronic equipment that are produced in India are assembled and they are manufactured somewhere else. The chips and all are manufactured somewhere.
Yeah.
The designs are in somewhere else. The value is going outside, right? So the designing is very important. So that thought processes have to be encouraged or taught, or the children should be given that opportunity to experience those thought processes.
So you said the thread builder is a tool for this, right? So like here, one of the problem statement which I am facing, like, is that articulation of the thread builder to outsiders.
See, this articulation to inside and outside, they park it that for some time. You actually do what you intended to do. For inside, you know, so I need to do this thing, whatever I have articulated as a pattern that threads into a beautiful picture kind of thing, or beautiful cloth kind of thing. Now your intention is to build that thread builder to capture all the cognitive dispensation that happens in a conversation. Did that make, am I clear in that? Your conversations.
Mhm.
So that is cognitive dispensation, right? You're interacting. So you want to capture them and make meaning out of it or not meaning out of it, or whatever it is, right? So you want the conversation to be moving, right? So when you are building a product in that line, that is the thread builder. So once you actually build it, the impact of it is the articulation for the outside world.
Mhm.
So it can be as simple as enriching classroom experiences through thread builders, or it can be sophisticated articulations.
Basically, the impact of a process.
Yes.
is the articulation.
For outside world, it is always impact. I mean,
Mhm.
because they understand the impact. For inside world, it is the process.
I had a doubt on other lines. Good morning, sir.
Good morning. Yeah, we
Right.
missed you.
Right. So yeah, I had a doubt on the other lines of the question which was asked before about the mechanical work or transfer. So is it like yesterday we were discussing systemic problems. Tarun had a session about project management. We were talking of it. So do you think that there might be also systemic problems coming into play when we say that sometimes reflections that mechanical, or is it a mindset which is developed? We are coming with the baggage. So connecting all the dots here and asking the question.
There are systemic problems, there are structural problems also. I'll tell you what a structural problem is. Now, as an organization, we are wanting everybody to write their celebration message. And we have made it as a rule, saying, boss, whatever you do, I don't know, by evening 9:30, your thing has to come in. Now, that is structurally coded, right? That is expected. So now, whether I like it or not, I need to write the sentence saying I celebrated. That's a structural issue. Now, when you are the other side, when you are writing celebrated, you don't know how to articulate it, you don't have the knowledge of it, or you did not experience it. That's your systemic problem.
Why do you call it as a structural problem? Like, as you said earlier, wouldn't after being engaged in it for some period of time, even though mechanically, we might reach on at that
That's
realization later.
that's the hope you are all having, right? The hope is that you keep writing, someday you will get that Buddha-like eureka moment, and then you will actually enjoy it. That's the hope. Now theory behind it, whether you do it intentionally, unintentionally, experientially, unexperientially, likingly, unlikingly, if you are writing reflections, you are bringing your articulation from your being. That means whether you like or not, you are articulating it. Whether you copy or not copy, plagiarism, non-plagiarism, all that, you're putting some words into it. Now, deep thought is trying to write an algorithm to make sense out of it. You're understanding what I'm talking?
I don't think I follow you completely. I mean,
No, your question was whether it is mechanical also, at some point of time, there will be a realization. That's the question, right?
yeah,
Is
so
it
that's why it doesn't make sense to me to call it as a problem.
I never called it as a problem, did I?
You said it's
You call it systemic structure.
structural. Yeah.
I was explaining it. I was explaining structural problems, how they will be like. At that instant. See, for me, it may be a problem because I use the word problem because structurally, if you put limitations, people are forced to follow that up. That's a structural mechanism. To explain a structural problem, I use that thing as a sentence. You got what I'm talking? And then I also explained to you why we are actually doing what we are doing. So, whether you like or not, whether you experience it or not, if you are putting your words to it, we will be building mechanisms of arriving at algorithms of making sense out of it.
Yugandhar sir, before we conclude, I had a question.
Go ahead.
At the end of all of this conversation, so if Deep Thought says we are not an education company, we are a technological product innovation company, what is your reaction to that?
Boss, I always believe right from day one, I was actually, when you actually told me the Socratic dialogue 3 years back also, about then the words vocabulary we were using is meta within codes. At that point of also, from that day till this day, I never thought you are an education company or edutech company. Not edutech, education company. Even today also, I don't actually think you are an edtech company kind of thing. You are into a deep technology company. You are like that Visa platforms where all the transactions happen. Visa, MasterCard, you're a fintech. That platform where the transactions happen, they maintain all the how it goes and all that. You will actually be evolving into that kind of a platform where learning happens, interactions happen, and that is not easy. Your thread builders are your learnability threads. Those strands are all your mechanisms of reaching that learnability thing. Wherever there is learning, and that learning has to be simplified, and that has to be democratized, and there deep thought is. The deep thought's requirement is there.
So why do you say Deep Thought is like that Visa platform?
The reason being is you are not living at the superficial level of question and answer kind of mechanism. I took the example of that Molly Burger junior MBA example. I took for that reason. So if you are only teaching techniques, you are only teaching the ways and means of reaching an objective, then you are not the technology company. You are an education company. But if you are actually teaching the process of making those threads possible or ways of means, discovering those by yourself, one means to reach that objective, then you are a technology company. You are making those processes easy for the teacher to teach that, right?
So you're saying Socrates ran a technology company?
Yeah.
So you're saying MIT and Harvard are technology companies?
Harvard, MIT have their limitations. Today, there is a world which actually believes that what they teach at Harvard may not also be right for the future planet. I'll tell you why. For them, when they teach their MBAs, they actually say, boss, business, how do they define business?
Profit making enterprise.
But when it is profit making, at what expense? All this climate, everything have come as an afterthought, not as the core belief.
I have a question. You said that experiencing something would lead to innovation. But then you also said that we are weaving these threads for future, like for the people who would come in later. So are we building a literature review? And if so, isn't this killing the experience that, or maybe it is the second-hand experience that they might have?
Okay, I'll take little example here. Do you know what sun moon nanotechnology is?
Sorry, what?
Sun moon nanotechnology is. You don't know. Any one of you know here? You don't know, right? So when I use a term which you don't know, when I use a term, it was perfectly concocted by me. It is sun, moon, and nanotechnologies, three put together. I concocted this. I use this example everywhere I go to relate to this example, this thing. When I use this term, your mind actually grapples to understand where, how, when did I come across in my last thing. That is, you are depending on your knowledge base. So when your knowledge base is not this thing, either you have curiosity to go forward and find it out or give it up, not my cup of tea. You understand what I'm talking about? So now when you're building the threads, see if there is really something called as sun moon nanotechnology thread. If you want to discover, you can go through that rabbit hole and contribute to it. Yes or no?
Yes.
Or you can create another thread. And this word is concocted by me. For a longer time, I use that in our very rural education scenarios. I take this example to actually tell how designing is important, how to think, all those things we actually use this thing.
Sir, one last question. So, if you were to describe deep thought in like 4 sentences or 5 sentences, how would you describe it?
Deep thought is a deep technology organization enabling the teaching and learning mechanisms of the future.
And why did you say it this way?
I am articulating one by one. That's my chip processor is little slow, right?
Okay. And what is this sentence supposed to mean?
You are a deep tech company enabling the teaching, learning mechanisms of the future.
Okay. And how is deep thought different from the existing industry?
Again and again, when you are actually enabling the teaching, learning experiences, it is not at 1 degree, 2 degree surface levels. It is deeper than that. Why is it deeper? Is it is not the Jugalbandi experience I told you, 1 or 2 professors talking about in a very elite MBA institution. It is that you're bringing that into a classroom, democratizing it for the teacher to use it in a classroom. We call that as research-based learning that way, right? So you are enabling the teacher, the student, and the students together to explore that idea together by researching and learning. It's not easy, right? And most of the edtech companies take the path of least resistance. That is the easiest path outside. They codify what is not dynamic. Now, what you are doing is you are trying to codify the dynamic environment in a classroom, including their 5 experiential things, right? Your tangible experiences are there, right? You see, you hear, you feel, tactile, all that experiences. You're going beyond that thing into the cognitive environment of how your neurons fire, with what triggers. You're trying to codify that. That's why I call that, Tarun.
So, sir, when Deep Thought says we're going to reposition the education industry, like how Tesla repositioned automobile industry, consider that overambitious, or what is your take on that?
It is possible, is what I say. I say why Tesla also, it can be beyond Tesla. That's a different story. Say, why should we compare ourselves with somebody else? Point one. But we know what we are doing. We know what we are doing. We are actually making, to make it in simple words, we are wanting research-based education where every child is involved cognitively in research in a classroom in that spontaneous environment where teacher is facilitating. That's the experience everybody wants. That's why the thread builders are there. That's why you are including every child in the classroom.
From a macroeconomic point of view, what does this represent for the world?
For the world, this is a beautiful thing to happen. The only reason being is, for good or bad, fortunate or unfortunate, we were all conditioned to behave in one pattern or the other pattern to meet the objectives of the capitalistic kind of environments. Either we were all trained to be assemblers, or we are all trained to be management followers, or what kind of environment. Now you are trying to reawaken that spirit of instinct of humanity to actually start questioning and learning to live for the planet. You're understanding where I'm coming from, why I'm actually more involved in this deep thought.
So what does this mean for the world? If people have that instinct for
You will have more holistic individuals taking care of institutions.
And what does that mean?
It means a better planet.
How does that mean a better planet?
It means the decisions that are taken are better than the ones which are conditioned ones taken under conditional constraints.
What does it mean from an economic perspective?
Growth.
How does it lead to growth?
Because it is productive.
How is this productive? I mean, they went with the old paths because they thought the old path was productive, right?
See, whether it may be not proper to even compute old path or not. At that point, at that circumstance, it was the viable thing that to do at that point. So on hindsight, everybody is intelligent. It is very easy to now dissect and say that, boss, that might have been this thing and all, because of which pollution we say. They would not have seen pollution then, or they knew and they deliberately willful blindness. Either would have happened, right? But that circumstances demanded that thing to happen with that limitation of knowledge, with that technology there. Now, this kind of thinking, this kind of learning processes, this kind of environments will will actually ignite a lot of innovations. When a lot of innovations, will all innovations be successful? No. So will it be not like a renaissance? That's the premise.
Thank you, sir. So we want to listen to 3 reflections and then close. Whoever is going in first, yeah, you have 5 seconds to go in.
Yeah, so basically I got the, like you mentioned about pollution and stuff, so it sort of got my, like I wrote it down. So what I got out of this is that the word holistic was like lingering in my mind since the start of the meeting. So I was waiting for like getting that word holistic. And so for me as well, I also had a similar line of thought that you mentioned, like a better world, a better place, holistic decision making, and stuff like that. So for me as well, it is a similar sort of experience. Like I don't reflect much on like those occasions, in the meetings, but after that I try to create that sort of experience for everyone else as well. So maybe it could become a thread as well for everyone else. So yeah.
Can I throw a spanner in?
What?
I use the word, can I throw a spanner in? Spanner.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
The word better, right?
Yeah.
I say it is more relative.
Okay.
Why it is relative? See, think of example of Obama. You know all Obama, right?
Mm.
You know Bin Laden also, right?
Yes.
Oh, so Bin Laden's better world is different from Obama's better world.
Mm.
Both words are better only.
Yes.
So to reflect on that.
Context to the text.
It is not only context, it is the frameworks that actually work. It is your frames of references. They are like, this term is there, frames of references. This term is there. If you are very interested in this thing, you can actually Google out frames of references. So now these children, when we are building, when they are actually learning, that frames of references when they are in formative ages are very, very important. Those frames of references are very, very important. What do you mean by good? What do you mean by bad? What is acceptable? What is not acceptable? What is childlike curiosity? What is asking? What is not asking? What is left? What is right? What is center? Those definitions becomes their frameworks. And deep thought, you are democratizing that.
Yeah. Next reflection, you have 5 seconds to go over once.
Yeah, not typical. Hello.
Yeah, Palash, go ahead.
Yeah. Not a typical reflection, but ever since I was a child, I wanted to change the world, in some way or another. And through this meeting, I can see that at least we are working on changing something in the world, and that gives me very high hopes. And it makes me want to come back again and try harder. Yes.
Okay. Thanks, Palash. Hope once you're back from your vacation, you have a reason to, do. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Whoever is going in next, you have 5 seconds to go.
Yeah, I want to go next. So, today I get to know too many things from Yogendra sir. So, adding to few, as everyone believe, I myself believe that any country has a world to develop, the basics starts from learning. That is from the childhood, how the kid is exposed to the surroundings, how he taught, how you need to learn. So the thing what we are doing is, we are trying to implement this process in a better way. So that is very unique, and this is something has to be, we need to try to implement as soon as possible so that people can understand and value this thing. This is something I noticed. So coming back to the Yogendra's points which I want to narrate, when he said about the knowledge, the systematic and structural, while even Tarun was discussing the same thing yesterday, and today I thought to know that, and the baggages that we are getting from our past experience, how we are taking that forward and imposing that on our fellow people, that how we can limit it. The more we not think them in a meta level, break it down, why we are doing it, and why if we are not defining them in a process of sharing our knowledge to others, that can create a bad impact, I guess, before knowing a certain knowledge on what we are trying to do here. Yeah, and one more thing, that is the dynamic process we follow in deep thought. Like when Yogendra sir saying that we are trying to bring that eureka moments in every class, not like we saw too many eureka moments in a DT classroom, but we don't see that eureka moments in regular classroom which goes on school level and other level, institution level. So that there is because the people are not allowed to involve in a session of discussion over there. They are trying, they're in the institution or school, they are trying to just consume the knowledge, not to create the knowledge out of it. So that is something we are doing here. So yeah, I guess that's it on this.
I had a small, not a reflection, but a small takeaway from.
Rajesh, before you
Yeah.
go, I wanted to ask if Yugandhar sir had some comments for Nikhil, especially he's put a lot of effort to find those words for his thought.
Yes.
That's fantastic. But I wanted to give some articulation to what you're building as a classroom. You are actually building pristine, unadulterated environment for the teacher and the student to learn in the classroom. So when I say pristine is that's very clear, simple, pure. You're understanding, right? Unadulterated word I use because you're giving it, so you're doing it so democratically that and transparently that minimizes or rules out biases. You're understanding the thread building mechanism is that thing involved in that, right? So these pristine, unadulterated environments for the children to express, that's where Nikhil, they are actually children are discussing. So whether creating knowledge or not creation, I will park that word called creation, but they are involving, they are consuming. You said they are consuming, right? Earlier, that was the need. Today, it is more of a different nature now. It's not the consumption, but it is contribution also.
Yes.
Contribution. So now the thread building is that. So this is the environment you're creating in your SDLMS.
If we are saying contribution, in that case, they're contributing their thoughts, right?
Exactly.
That give rise to new way of understanding things. That is
Exactly.
again a knowledge.
Exactly. We're giving space for them to express.
Yes.
Yeah, Rajesh, you can now go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. No, right. I had a small connection to make from yesterday and today. That is, we were discussing. So I will just give you context, Yugandhar sir. We were discussing three basic idea, not three basic ideas, but three things we need to review before three areas to analyze, right? And three areas to analyze, and those were small or big. Is a problem? Is a task small or big? Is a task familiar or new? Or is a task simple or complex? So how do I relate it today is when you were talking of the world working on the unwilling or the willingness of ignoring the task, or you made a, just a minute, I'll get that exact term.
Willful blindness.
Willful blindness, sorry, right, correctly. Willful blindness. So that I think that along with that, I think tasks at a glance were assumed from the snake view and not the eagle view, and that is why they were sometimes assumed as simple and were not seen as a bigger perspective. But when I was building on your idea, while I was thinking on it, I see if we look at a task from a eagle perspective or an eagle view, I think the boundary conditions which you are having, if we have a greater set of it in our mind and we try to work on it, I think there might be a greater impact or a larger impact on the environment, as well as while we are working on it, looking at the perspective of it. So that is a small reflection or a small idea which I built from your discussion.
Fantastic. By the way, willful blindness is a cognizable offense in the Western world. It's a legal term. That's willful blindness. I mean, जानबूझ के information नहीं देना है ना, जानबूझ के नहीं देना है is a sin there in some context. But in our legal system, it is not there. You can term, there's a book called Willful Blindness actually. you can actually put that willful blindness there.
On a side note, did you understand what he said?
Yeah.
Why didn't you?
Eagle and snake was what he was talking about. So he was working on that snake kind of view. Then only he understood the importance of eagle eye. That's the what understanding I have.
No, he spoke of, seeing from an eagle view.
That's what I'm saying.
No. After that, नहीं वहां तक समझ में आया. उसके बाद I don't know what he was trying to say. That it will be in the better interest of humanity if you're seeing there. You see boundaries of. Were you able to connect the dots?
Yeah. No, I was able to, because when we are talking about the industrial revolution and that willful blindness and that pollution thing, that those contexts where I use the willful blindness word there. Now what he says is, when we actually look at the eagle perspective of the entire thing, your boundaries are drawn is little clear. Am I right in understanding, Brijesh? Kahan chale gaye,
Yes, sir. No, sir. No. Just now, someone called me, but yeah. So yeah, I along with it also, what I was trying to build was that I think I will try to break it. I could not make it clear, but my idea was that when we have a boundary set, that is, if we have an agenda set in a small boundary, sometimes we miss the larger impact or the overall perspective of it. And that is where the problems start to emerge. Like you said, of pollution was not aware or was not ideal situation for them. Similarly, on that ends, I was talking that if we have a little broader perspective, when an eagle view is there, but that eagle view is really a eagle view and not just zoom out. So there, that idea might give you a better understanding, and that might connect it a little better. Is what I was also talking of along with the lines which you were saying. I hope it made a little sense now, or else it is my articulation.
Question, is Aryan around? Aryan, you are there? You have a question. Why does everybody keep limits on saying? Can you be a little clear, Aryan?
Your explanation of deep thought to 5 sentences, like that limit.
Did anybody get it?
Your explanation of deep thought in 5 sentences, till there I got it. Last part I didn't get.
Why do you, he actually says, why do you have to put 5 sentences? Is that the question, Aryan? Aryan, that's a fantastic question, man. You're there, Aryan? No, what I understand from Aryan's question is, why do people actually put, you have 5 seconds to answer, you have 5 words to say, you say in 2 words, that might be the question. Why do you put that way is the question. Why do people have these limits? When we say we are deep thought and we are supposed to explore more, why are we asking that limits? That's the question he might be having. But my answer to you, Aryan, is it is a arrangement of convenience. It's not a limitation.
Can you elaborate on it?
Say, for example, now I have to go to another meeting. And that I have committed myself there. So that's the limitation I have. Yes or no?
Can you repeat what meeting?
In the next 5 minutes, I have to attend another meeting. That's the limitation I have.
Why do you think so?
No, I have already committed somebody that I'll meet them.
So Aryan, it's like, sir can't stay here even if he likes your question now, right? Because he has to go there. That's his limitation. Because he said he would go there and they're waiting for him. But when I say 5 sentences, it's not exactly a limitation. You can change it if you want to, but for convenience, we took some limit and we're working in that limit just for convenience.
How does it help in convenience?
Yes, it is convenience.
He is asking, how is this convenience?
Because we want to complete before that. It is convenient for me to conclude in time and go and attend the other meeting.
Then his next question will be, why not 4? Why not 3? Why 5?
That's an arbitrary random one.
So Aryan, constraints help in problem solving. Each constraint makes you think in a very different way. So
Different
this
way.
constraint to bring a certain kind of an output. Like 3 sentence would be too brief. 6 sentence, 10 sentence would be too long. So 5 sentence we thought would bring just enough detail.
That 5 would have also come from an experience also. It's not that it has just randomly picked.
Yeah, it
But
was.
that may be the requirement also.
Because I mean, my intention of picking 5 was 5 brings certain detail and is also very to the point. It sort of gives the microcosm of deep thought.
Razor sharp.
So
Okay, then can we take leave?
yes, sir. Thank you, sir. And thank you everybody for joining in. So those who joined in, you can log in a little, I mean, the full timers can log in a little late today, not a problem. Yeah, thank you, sir.
Thank you, Aryan. Yeah, Satya was silent. Then okay, fine.